Hello guys, Jose Rodriguez here. In our previous videos, we were able to access all the logs that are being collected by WAZUH by default. Okay, in Windows systems, we saw that our agents are collecting system, application, and security logs. Okay, and in our Ubuntu instance, we are collecting, for example, system logs. Right now, let me show you how can we access other logs. How can we configure our agents to collect logs? For example, in Windows environments, we are going to collect Sysmon logs. Okay, these logs are not collected by default, but we can configure our agent to start collecting them. Okay, so now the first step is going to be, if we are going to collect Sysmon events, we need to install Sysmon in our Windows instances. Okay, so let me show you how can you do this. The steps that I'm going to show you will work for Windows 10 and Windows 11. Okay, so if we go to our browser, if you go to the Microsoft website, I'll share this link on the description of the video. So here is Sysmon version 15.15. Okay, and you can download the executable here. Okay, and of course you can read description of Sysmon, all the different ways that you can use to install it and also uninstall it. The option that I want to show you today is how can you use a configuration file when installing Sysmon. Okay, so this is what we are going to use today. When you use a configuration file, you have more flexibility on deciding what events to collect and what events just to skip. Okay, and you also, if you keep scrolling down, you will have a description of all the different events that you can collect. Okay, so this is a lot of context that you that is valuable when you are analyzing adversary behavior, okay, or potential adversary behavior in your environment. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to download the Sysmon executable file here, and since we are using a configuration file, you can use the configuration file from this project Blacksmith from the OpenTrade Research Forge repository. Okay, if you go to resources, configs, Sysmon, you will find the configuration file here, sysmon.xml. Okay, so you can also click here and download the file. Okay, so if we go to our downloads folder, you will have a zip file, okay, from the Microsoft website, and here's the XML file from the GitHub repo. Okay, so what we are going to do now is extract all. Okay, in the same directory, click extract. So here's the folder. So if you access this, you have the different executables and the end user license agreement too. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, just to have everything together, I will move this file to this folder. Okay, and now what we are going to do is we are going to open the command prompt, and we will run this application as administrator. Okay, so we can install Sysmon. We need high privileges for that. Okay, so we are going to change our directory to C drive users. The user that I'm using here is Pedro Gustavo. I'm going to the downloads folder, and if you list all the folders and files, you can see here's the Sysmon folder. So let's change our directory one more to Sysmon. Let's clear the screen and list all the files. So here's the executable. You have the executable for 64 bits, and also the 64A is for ARM-based systems. Okay, so if you have a virtual machine on your Mac OS, if you are using the M1, M2, or M3 chip, you'll probably need this. Okay, so nice. The command that we need to run is Sysmon for the executable space dash, we are going to accept the end user license agreement, okay? And then another parameter is going to be dash I, because we are going to use the configuration file, okay, the XML file. It's going to be sysmon.xml, okay? If you want to get more references about these commands, you can go to the Microsoft website and you can see they provide us with an example. What is the command that you need to run when using a configuration file? So I'm using this as a reference. Okay, so let's go back and you just need to hit enter. Okay, so it's installing the driver, loading the driver, also creating the service, starting the service, and it looks like the installation was successful. Okay, so how can you validate this? There are different ways. Let me show you two of them. If you open the services application, okay, and if you just hit the S key, you should have, okay, yeah, here is Sysmon. See, it's running. Okay, now another way is you can validate the generation of Sysmon logs. Okay, so if you open the event viewer, let's run this as an administrator so we can access the logs. So on the top left side of your screen, you go to Windows logs. Oh no, I'm sorry, this is not the one. Here, application and services logs, Microsoft, Windows. And you scroll down, you should have Sysmon. Yep, here. So here are the operational logs. Okay, so as you can see, logs are being generated. Again, the configuration file is filtering some logs, but it's basically in generating everything. Okay. Again, this is from a research perspective. This is interesting, so we can understand all the different logs that are being generated when we are practicing our cybersecurity use cases. But in a real environment, you need to be very careful with a configuration file, so you can generate only specific events for to monitor your environment. Okay. Okay, so Windows is installed. Okay, so that's nice. Let me close this. Close this. Okay, so now we Windows. I'm sorry, Sysmon was installed or is installed on your computer, and we know that Sysmon logs are being generated. Okay, now if we go to our WAZUH manager server. So let's see, in the last hour, okay, tell me, I want to use this query. Give me all the events where the channel is Sysmon. Okay, as you can see, there is nothing here. So now what we need to do is we are going to update the configuration file, okay, the OSEC configuration file, so we can start collecting these new logs. Okay, now there are two ways. If you go to user manual, capabilities, log data collection, configuration for monitoring log files, there are two different ways you can update this the configuration of the agent. So you can do local configuration, which means you need to go through each agent, right, and access the osec.conf file. If you're working with a 64-bit Windows system, here's the directory where you can find the osec.conf file. If you're working with a Linux instance, here's the directory where you can find the osec file, the osec.conf. And if you're working with a macOS instance or agent, here's the directory where you can find the osec.conf file. Okay, now this is good, but for the purpose of this video, I'll try another one, maybe a more efficient one. Okay, instead of going through all my devices, I'll use the centralized configuration way, which means when you have multiple instances, right, you can create groups. You can assign a group to this to each agent, right? And that's what we did in the previous videos, right? We have agents for Windows 10, Windows 11, and I also created another agent for Windows 7. So all these three devices share the same operating system, different versions, but the same operating system. And all of them are under the group Windows. And I have only one Ubuntu instance, which is under the Ubuntu Linux group, right? So that's great. So what I'm going to show you today is how just by changing one file, okay, I will start collecting Sysmon logs from all my Windows devices, okay? Well, basically Windows 11 and Windows 10, because I tried to install Sysmon on my Windows 7 device, but I couldn't because I couldn't find the right executable for that. So I am expecting to collect Sysmon logs from my Windows 10 and Windows 11 devices, okay, or agents. Perfect. So what we need to change is this agent.conf file, okay, that is under the group that we are the agent.conf file that belongs to the group that we are trying to modify, okay? So something important that we need to understand is the concept of precedence, okay? So we know that there is a configuration file local on the endpoint. So one configuration file for my Windows 11 device and another configuration file for my Windows 10 device. And then you also have the agent.conf file, which is located on my server, okay? So basically, when we modify and restart the services and everything, the agent, right, will load first whatever local configuration you have on your agent, and then it will load the configuration or the additional configurations on the agent.conf file, okay? And then it will merge all this information, okay? In case there is configuration that is overlapping, the configuration on the agent.conf file will be the final configuration, okay? So the configuration on the agent.conf file will override whatever configuration you have on the osec.conf file, okay? So this is important. Now let's if you go here, right, user manual reference, and then you have centralized configuration for agent.conf, you have the precedence. So you have an example, okay? Now let's go to the centralized configuration process, so to see what are the steps, right? So the first step is we need to configure the agent.conf file, okay? And as you can see, the location for this file should be under bar osec etc shared, okay? These are just the commands in case you don't see the agent.conf file. These are just the steps that describe how can you create it, okay? So let's go to our terminal on our server, and what we are going to do is just list all the files, okay? ls space dash al, and then it's gonna be bar osec. You see what was the etc shared, okay? etc shared, and as you can see, there are 3 directories here, okay? One directory is for the default group, the other one is for the Ubuntu Linux group, and the third one is for the Windows group. So we are going to access, since this video is about Sysmon and Windows devices, we are going to access the Windows folder, okay? So let's list all the folders and files under Windows. So here's the agent.conf file for Windows, okay? Again, this file is stored on my server, Okay, so let's modify this configuration file. Okay, so nano var osec etc shared, and then we are going to access the Windows and then the agent.conf file. Okay, as you can see, it's empty. So what we are going to do is we need to add the configuration section for Sysmon. Okay, so if we go to the documentation, you go to user manual, capabilities, log data collection. You have the configuring log collection for different operating systems. Okay, so under the Windows section, okay, WAZUH supports already some specific logs. Okay, we know that application security and system, they are being collected by default, but we can enable other channels. Okay, for example, you have Sysmon is here in one of them, but you also have Windows Defender operational applications from McAfee. What else? So this is this is system from system. You have system from the event log 2. What else? We have system from Microsoft Security Essentials, etc. Okay, so these are all, I mean, besides these three here, you can also add any of these logs. Okay, if you want to add something else, then since WAZUH is not supporting this, you will need to create your own decoder and process all the logs that are being collected. Okay, but that will be for another video in the future. But whenever we need to create our own decoder to process this information from other log sources. Okay, but for now, let's focus on Sysmon. Okay, so if we scroll down, here is an example on how can you add the location for another log source. So let's copy this. This is for Windows print service, but let's just copy this, and then we are going to change the name of the channel. Okay, so let's copy this, paste. Okay, so let's move this. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we need to modify this Microsoft Windows. Instead of this, I think this is Sysmon. Okay, let me double check the name. Yeah, so we have Microsoft Windows Sysmon operational. Okay, Microsoft Windows Sysmon operational. Nice. And then we can Control X. We press Y for yes, and then enter to save all the changes. Okay, so we just modify. If we go here, if we go back here for the configuration process, we just updated the files. That was the first step, right? Now, then it says that we need to run this command here, okay? Because every time we make a change to the agent.conf file, it is important to check for configuration errors, okay? So this command will tell us if there is any error on the configuration that we just added. Okay, so let's run this. Hit enter. So it's verifying the configuration file for default. Sorry, this is Windows. It says it's okay, but it's also validating for the agent.conf file for the default group and the Ubuntu Linux group. Okay, nice. What is the next step? We need to push the configuration to the agents. Okay, and it says with every agent keep alive, which is 10 seconds by default, the agent sends to the manager the checksum of xmerge.md file. Remember I told you that the agent first loads the local configuration and then adds or merges the configuration of the agent.conf file, right? So it's sent after 10 seconds, is sent to the agent, okay? If the received checksum differs from the available one, the WAZUH manager pushes the new file to the agent. The agent will start using the new configuration after being restarted, Okay, so I guess this is whenever you change the agent after 10 seconds. If we are using the default values, the agent will get a new configuration, but it will be, you know, it will be loaded after the agent is restarted. Okay, perfect. So restarting the manager will make the new agent.conf file available to the agents more quickly. Okay, so we can restart the manager service. So what we are going to do is, let's clear the screen. So we are going to restart the WAZUH manager service. Okay, we're going to do systemctl restart, and it's called WAZUH-manager. Okay, so restarting the service. Okay, and then we can also confirm if the agent received the configuration. Okay, so this is one way to do this, using the, I think this is the API. Yeah, but there is another option. You can run this script. Okay, and the number at the end is the ID for the agent. Okay, so if we go to our endpoints, right? If we go here, server manager, endpoints summary. So these are the different IDs. So I'll double check if my Windows 11, Windows 10, and Windows 7, if they are synchronized with my manager. Okay, so let's paste this. Let's just use the 001 number. That's for my Windows 11 agent. So if we hit enter, yeah, it says it's synchronized. If we use the same for the other agent, 003, so let's change this to 3, synchronize 2, and then number 5 for my Windows 7 system, yep, is synchronized. Okay, so now the website said that we needed to yeah, it says that the agent will start using the new configuration after being restarted. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, there is an option on the agent locally that let's double check that. So whenever we access the configuration for the agent, I think whenever there is a difference in the configuration, so whenever the agent detects the update, it restarts the service automatically. So let me double check if that option is enabled on the configuration file. So we're going to use Notepad on our Windows 11 device. Let's open this as administrator. Okay. So let's open, go to C drive. Oh, no, that's not the one. PC, C drive, program files, OSEC agent. Let's show all the files here. So there is an option. Yeah, this option. So this auto restart option is set to yes. So we don't need to restart the device, the Windows 11 device, because whenever it detects the change on the configuration file, so it's, you know, merging everything between the local file, I mean this one, and the agent.conf file, when it detects the difference, it restarts automatically. Okay, So without the need to restart my Windows 11 device, I can just go to my WAZUH manager server and just refresh. Now we have, in the last hour, we just started to collect Sysmon logs again. Okay, nice. And that's it. That's how you can just add Windows 11. I'm sorry, Windows Sysmon logs. Okay. Now, just to show you that that we are just by making one change on the agent.conf file. I already installed Sysmon on my Windows 10 device. Okay. So what we are gonna do is let's update the query here, the dashboard query. It says we are looking for Sysmon and give me all the logs for Windows 11, my Windows 11 agent, right? And as you can see, it's getting Sysmon logs from Windows 11. Now look at this. If we just change this to Windows 10, because that's the name of my other agent, right? Windows 10, and we update this, we are also getting Sysmon logs from Windows 10. So the centralized configuration was successful. Okay, I didn't need to go through each of my agents and modify the configuration file for each of them. I just change or update the agent.conf file, and I was able to distribute that new configuration to all my Windows agents. Okay, if I search for Windows 7, this will be empty because, as I mentioned before, I couldn't install Sysmon on my Windows 7. But I just wanted to share the results of the query. Okay, so that was nice. I hope this video was interesting for you guys. And again, if you have any questions, or maybe if you didn't understand what I was trying to explain in this video, let me know in the comments and I will answer. I'm happy to answer any type of questions. Okay, thank you.